the source, one of the most important chagim that we have, because our emunah and everything that we give over to the next generation is Pesach. And being such, it also comes with a lot of preparations. We have Pesach itself. The Torah commands that there should be lo yira'eh velo yimatzeh. There should not be seen. There should not be owned chametz in a person's possession. And also the Torah wants us. There's laws about matzah and how and so on and so forth. So because of this, first of all, there's a lot of restrictions in halakha. Because we shouldn't own, and because we shouldn't have, and we shouldn't consume chametz. There's a lot of halachot. And there's also the night of Seder. The night of Seder also requires a lot of preparations. It says in the Gemara that 30 days before each Chag you should learn the halachot of that Chag. Definitely it will apply to Pesach because there's a lot to learn. And why is that? Because as we know, on Pesach Hashem had mercy on us and took us out from under the slave ship, or should we say the enslavement of Egypt. And because he did that, he also required us to do certain things, certain mitzvot that we have to do on Pesach. And this is in turn, this is how we became a nation, right? In the beginning of Parashat Vayera, it says, "V'hotzeti v'ga'alti v'lakachti." Like, the 4 different languages that the Torah brings, each one was a different level to bring us more and more out of being slaves into the nation of Hashem, and then finally to give us the Torah. That is what made us into a nation. And the Torah includes in it all the mitzvot that we do and everything that we have to do. And that is what makes us into a nation. All right. Halachot of the month of Nisan and Pesach are plenty. Let's get started. First of all, Rosh Chodesh Nisan is next Shabbat. Not this Shabbat. Next Shabbat is going to be Shabbat Parashat HaChodesh because it's Rosh Chodesh. So they're going to, in the shul, interesting, doesn't happen that much, except for Simchat Torah every year, but we take 3 Sefer Torahs. 3 Sefer Torah are taken out. One is the Parashat of the week, Parashat Vayikra. The other one is Parashat HaChodesh. Not Parashat HaChodesh, Parashat Rosh Chodesh. And the third one is Parashat HaChodesh, in which we read a portion of Parashat Bo, where it says, HaChodesh Aseh Lachem Rosh Chodeshim. It tells us about the importance of Rosh Chodesh, of the month of Nisan being the most important month in the year, month of Nisan, because there's so many Nisim and Niflot that happened. This was the beginning of the nation, the Jewish nation, and so on and so forth. The Gemara, the Midrash says there are many things that happen on Rosh Chodesh Nisan itself, and Yitzchak Avinu was born. There was many different things that happened. One of them was the inauguration of the Mishkan. The Mishkan was already built when they were in the desert, and they began the services in the desert, in the Mishkan, on the first day of the month of Nisan. Each Shevet brought their offerings. So the first 12 days was a Yom Tov for all of Am Yisrael. Because of that, and then we have Pesach, and then Be'ezrat Hashem, like Rashi says in Masechah Rosh Hashanah, the Beit HaMikdash is going to be built on Pesach, automatically. So when are we going to do the inauguration? After Pesach. So the whole month is a party month, basically. It's a very happy and joyous month. That is the reason why when we pray on the month of Nisan, we do not say Tachanun, so we shouldn't get sad, right? And these are the days of joy and happiness. And because it's days of joy and happiness, also the halakha requires that the Beit Din, let's say, or the Rabbanim should not decree a fast on the Tzibur the whole month of Nisan. That's also another ruling that we should be. However, if a person wants to fast, a personal fast, he is allowed to. Ashkenazim are more machmir on this, but the person that wants to do a personal fast, he is allowed to in the month of Nisan. There is a custom that people on the Yortzeit, on the day of the passing of parents, it's a good thing to fast. To fast on that day. And so therefore, if a person wants to do that, that's fine. They could do that. Although it's only a good minhag to do, but it is allowed. Ashkenazim, they have a custom that a chatan and a kala, on the day of their wedding, they fast. Sephardim do not, right? We don't have that custom. Not only that, the Sephardi poskim, they say they shouldn't fast. They should not fast on that day because it says Yom Chatunato, Yom Simchat Libo. It's a Yom Tov for a Chatan and Kala. Why should they? So therefore, it's not a good day to fast. What they do is they fast a little bit before. After all, what is the reason of the fast? They should do teshuvah because this is a very important day. Hashem forgives their sins, the Chatan and the Kala. So they want to fast whatever, a week before, 2 weeks before. They cannot fast. They could, if they're of Ashkenazi descent, even fast on then. Or if there are some Sephardim that they still want to fast, they could fast because it's a personal fast. They could do that in the month of Nisan. Good. There is another thing that we do on the month of Nisan. It's called Birkat Ilanot. It says in the Talmud that one who leaves, goes out, right, in the days of the Nisan, of the month of Nisan, and he sees trees in their budding. They have the flower, like that's coming out. He sees the beauty. He makes a beracha. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. Right? Shelo chiser ba'olamo klum. That he's not missing anything in the world. The world is perfect, beautiful, and he made in it beautiful creatures and nice trees, so that humans should benefit and enjoy. That's what this beracha is. It's a beautiful beracha. It's only once a year. We can't make it more than once a year. Too bad. And also ladies should make this beracha. We don't say, oh, it's a mitzvah that is time dependent. It's not. You're thanking Hashem for the beauty of the world, and therefore you have the whole month of Nisan to do it. However, we try to do it as early as possible to make the beracha. Because it says that you have to see the flowers, if at night even, like, a person has a nice lighting in the place where there is, the trees, fruit trees, preferably, definitely fruit trees, and he could see those trees with the budding of the flowers. You could even make it at night. It is, I remember in Yerushalayim, there is this street, I think it's Rehot Tzfania, if I'm not mistaken. There is a person that he only has a couple of trees in his backyard, and there's a walkway there. He has a light, and he has the berachot there. It's a beautiful thing. Service for whoever passes by, they all stop by and they say Birkat Ilanot on his trees. There's a famous story of Moshe Antebi. Was one of the big Mekubalim in Aram Tzoba in Syria, and he took his Talmidim, his students, one time on the Rosh Chodesh Nisan. They went to this Arab. They said, "We want to bless your trees." He said, "Sure, tfaddal, Arab." He says, "Sure, come in," and they all go. And there's a big Mekubal. Comes and they say with the kavanot, they say the beracha, and they leave. They thank him, very much, and they leave. The next year they go to him. They say, he said, no, you're not coming to my field. So why? He says, after you guys left, everything got dried out, because there were a lot of neshamot in these trees, and they're making the beracha, fixed it all up. They're gone, dried up. And it is a very important beracha. We think it is a beautiful beracha, but besides that, Kabbalistically, it has a lot to do with the neshamot that are there, and so on and so forth. We won't go into it. Really, 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 if you look at the Siddur, there's a couple of pages of things to say. You only have to make the beracha. Don't make it hard for yourself. Just make the beracha, and that's all. It is better to go out of town even, because it says Hayotze b'menisan, one who goes out and sees these trees. Of course, obviously, if it's hard, Baruch Hashem, in our neighborhood, we have plenty of beautiful trees that are already budding, even though it's not Nisan yet, and we could do it. It could be said there should be at least 2 trees. There should be 2 trees, ilanot, that a person makes a beracha on, even if they're the same. 2 lemon trees or whatever it is not a problem. You could make the beracha as long as the flowers are there. Once the flowers fall and the fruits come out, then you can't make the beracha anymore. So, even if you missed it and the month of Nisan and the month of Iyar began, you could still make the beracha as long as the flowers are there. You could, however, the earlier the person does it, the better. Any questions on this? Right. When we came to LA, a lot of people were saying, no, ladies don't make the beracha. I don't know where that came from, but definitely it is a good thing, and why not? Okay. So we'll start Be'ezrat Hashem in the Halachot of Pesach regarding the things that we need for Pesach itself as preparations for Pesach. The first thing that we do is usually to go shopping. right? To go shopping and to clean up. So let's start with the shopping. It says in the name of the Ari Kadosh that a person who is careful with even a tiny drop of chametz, not to own, even a tiny drop, not to own, not to have, or he's muftach, he's promised that throughout that year he won't sin. So when you're cleaning up for Pesach, make sure you're searching chametz. That's number one, not dust and dirt. If you want to do spring cleaning, that's fine, but don't blame it on Pesach. Pesach is only you're looking for chametz. So dirt is not chametz. Dirt and dust is not chametz. Chametz is chametz, right? And if it's little crumbs, don't worry about it. Even the little crumbs are okay, because you're mevatel them. But we should know that the more a person has the intention of cleaning up for Pesach, and the more a person is careful to get rid of chametz, the better. Ari Kadosh says the person who sweats doing this, his sins are forgiven. Right? So don't worry. When a person does it, it's a bigger thing. Now, when a person goes shopping for things that they need for Pesach, they have to be careful, especially if you have small children, to be very careful to put them in places that the children are not going to get to them, because before you know it, they're on it, with their sandwiches, with their Cheerios, and whatever else they could get their hands on. And I think it would be smarter to slowly do biur chametz now and get rid of these things, get rid of whatever chametz you have, and start bringing in, when you have little kids, to bring in Pesach cereals or things that are kasher at Pesach. It would be much safer and much wiser. If a person could do that, that would be much better. The best thing to do is for a person to budget their time, to make it like a schedule, and to make a list of places that have to be cleaned and things that have to be bought. When you do that, when you write a list, when you make everything organized like that, it works like a charm. Because first of all, you won't be missing something. You won't come last minute, oh, I didn't buy this, or I didn't clean up that drawer, or I didn't clean up this thing. When you write the list and you have a check mark next to it, then it's done, right? Obviously, you leave places where, the small children will get to last, because that's not going to help if you clean it up and it's going to have to be done all over again. So, but everything else, a person could do it in a more patient manner, that you won't be rushed, or you won't be able to. And a person last minute Erev Pesach, or the day before Erev Pesach, Bedikat Chametz, person comes and says, "Oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do this." If you could clean your car before. All these things have to be done prior to Pesach as much as we can. It would be better. Now, rice. It's interesting. The Gemara talks about rice and says, is rice chametz or not? And then they say, nope, it's not. This is not called chimutz. It's not called fermentation. It is called fermentation. Chimutz means it rises, right? That means the enzyme in the wheat and the barley and the spelt and the rye and the oat. Enzymes, when they come in contact with water, right? There are 3 different enzymes in these 5 species. And when they come in contact with water, it rises, right? It ferments, right? What about rice? Rice, interestingly enough, it only has 2 of those 3 enzymes. It doesn't have the third. And the Gemara calls it sirachon. Sirachon means it spoils. Rice is not fermented. It doesn't have the same capabilities as wheat and barley. It's different. This the Gemara calls sirachon. Beautiful. So even though you see rice, you put 1 cup of rice and then you have a full pot, right? It's not considered chametz, chimutz. That's the Gemara. I'm not making this up. This is the Gemara Masechet Pesachim. So what's the reason why some people have a custom not to eat rice on Pesach? Because in those areas where they would pack the rice, they would suddenly, it would be packed in places where they're packing wheat and barley and all these other things. And unfortunately, you would come across wheat in the middle of Pesach when you're cooking rice. So in those places, they accepted upon themselves not to eat rice. Who needs the trouble, right? We won't eat rice. That is in all Ashkenazi countries, And some Sephardi countries also, they do not eat rice, right? That's the same reason why they don't eat kitniot either, right? A lot of Ashkenazim do not eat kitniot, beans, all these things they don't eat. Some Sephardim also, they don't eat that, and so on and so forth. All these minhagim, they are minhagim, and they're customs, and they have to keep them. Now, if a person keeps them because they think that's the halacha, and it's chametz, and therefore they shouldn't do it, and then suddenly they say, "Hi, what are we going to eat on Pesach? We can't, it's crazy. How are we going to survive Pesach without?" Suddenly they wake up. Now, it depends why they were doing it. If they were doing it because their parents were doing it, right? So that's not really a minhag. That is just a minhag. And if the ones, let's say Ashkenazi woman marries a Sephardi and they want not to do it anymore, they could go ahead and stop that custom, right? No. They want to eat the rice, right? They could go ahead and do hatarat nadarim because they really accepted. If they accepted it upon themselves as a stringency, now they don't want to do it. They have to do hatarat nadarim. But if they just did it because they were doing it, then they don't have to do hatarat nadarim. They could go ahead and just change and start eating rice, right? This is all in all, right? If they want to do it, but otherwise, if they want to keep their minhag, they should keep their minhag, right? If a Sephardi lady marries an Ashkenazi man, they have to keep their husband's custom, right? And not to cook rice at home, of course. However, if they want to, go ahead and even for Ashkenazi, right? They're allowed to make rice for a guest. It's not asur. They can't eat it. It's a minhag not to eat it. So it doesn't make their pots and pans. Let's say a Sephardi wants to invite Ashkenazi guests. They say, "Oh, I have to buy new pots and pans because I'm cooking rice. I'm cooking beans in my pots and pans, and I cannot use it. For the." It's not chametz. It's custom not to eat it, right? So therefore, even if you just cooked rice the day before, and now you want to make soup in that pot, it's perfectly fine. It's not asur. You don't have to do hagalah in your pots and pans. That's perfectly fine. However, you have to make sure that rice needs to be checked. Rice definitely needs to be checked. You're looking for wheat or barley when you're checking rice, right? A little brown dot on the rice doesn't make it chametz. We're looking for wheat and barley. Don't make it very hard, but a person has to do it with patience, slowly, to make sure that there is no. This is the whole idea. This is what we're scared of. We're scared of wheat and barley and this sort of stuff in the rice. Once it's fine, then it's fine. Baruch Hashem.
One time?
3 times.
Check it one time.
3 times. 3 times.
You'll have to check it 3 times?
We have to.
Really
The custom is to check it 3 times.
I do, but I'm just saying.
What if you have 2 people check it?
Then switch.
Twice.
1, 2. Yeah. Of course.
You're doing that.
But it has to be checked 3 times. That's a custom. Let's not play with the minhag. You could do it during Pesach too.
Same rice that you check.
Yeah, you could do it during Pesach. It's just what are you gonna do if you find the wheat?
So I don't have to do it.
Throw it out.
You get to your husband.
If you find
The wheat itself is
not chametz, not necessarily,
just
right?
in contact
It's a safek chametz. Maybe it came into contact with water.
Probably likely did.
Maybe, and then you see if it cracked a little bit, then it's danger zone. But listen, as long as let's say you run out of rice that you checked before Pesach, and now on Chol Hamoed you say I need rice. It's life and death situation. Then you could check. Of course, you could check rice on Pesach. It's not a problem. Okay.
And do you know which market we should buy this year?
We're working on it. Nothing really changed since last year. So Star S, you know what Star S, everyone? The Star K's Sephardic department started last year. Rabbi Emmanuel Goffey's Shlita is the one running it. It's under his capable hands, and so they have certain rice that is under Star S. I don't know if you could get it. It's the elephant, I think. Was it the elephant? I think last year.
I haven't seen
We're working, Be'ezrat Hashem, the guide should be out by next week. This year is going to be earlier, so we're working on it. Be'ezrat Hashem, Rabbi Chachamzadeh is doing it. And so it's pretty much like last year. If a person could get his hands on those, good. If not, we'll just follow the same guidelines as last year. Use the rice that we have. Preferably wash it before you use it, because it might have these the enrichment. Brown rice is not enriched, so a person wants to use brown rice, just check it well before. That's the best, because American law is that any rice that's sold, any white rice that's sold, has to be enriched with the vitamins, and some of these vitamins have to be the way they attach them to them is like with chametz ingredients. That's the problem, if it's a problem. So,
Rabbi, you're saying to wash the rice before Pesach or before you use it?
if you wash it before Pesach, it's gonna spoil by the time you want to use it. No.
Before you use it.
Yeah. Before you use it, wash it a lot. Make sure you wash it a lot. And then that'll get rid of it.
But you still have to check the Star S rice, right?
Yeah, for sure. The Star S is just that it's not doesn't have the vitamins.
Oh.
It's not enriched. That's all.
Oh, the fact that it's just not enriched.
I
Okay.
don't think they have people sitting and checking it for you. No, I don't think they have that budget. It'll be very expensive.
But when it says age reached, still is not okay now.
What was that again?
Age reached.
That's just aged. I don't know. That's a different processing that they do with the rice.
No,
It's not.
I've
No.
seen it in the royal one. That's why I'm asking.
Right. They have different grades. That's a grading. Aged, basmati, all these things. There are different grades and different things that they have in the processing. It's not a thing. So now, anything else with rice? So make sure. Oh, Rav Ovadia interestingly writes, when you're checking rice, make sure your kids aren't around, because kids are walking around with sandwiches and other nice Purim treats. So make sure they're sleeping, because if they're around, Baruch Hashem, they're gonna say, "Mommy, what are you doing?" And they're eating their cookies and everything. It's gonna get in the rice, and then suddenly you make your rice on Pesach. It's gonna have some surprises for you. So definitely a person must be careful to keep him in a safe distance and at a safe time to be able to check these things. Now, something very interesting. The Gemara says, it's a Mishnah actually in the Masachat Pesachim. A little background. It says over there that if flour, which is kosher for Passover flour, if it was used and baked with wine, honey, any juice, any fruit juice, then it says over there, it'll never become chametz, and a person who eats it is not chayav karet, right? That means it'll never rise, it'll never become chametz. Later, the Gemara is explaining, they say, it's absolutely chametz, and whoever eats it is chayav karet. I mean, so what's going on? Rashi explains it to say that it's talking about there is no chiyuv karet, there is no chiyuv karet of eating chametz on Pesach, because it's a tarovet, it's a mixture, but it's still absolutely asur to have flour which was baked together with a fruit juice. Okay, that's Rashi's explanation. Tosafot, which is the other commentaries, Rashi's grandchildren generally, they say no way, that's not what it's talking about. It's talking about if it's a fruit juice and flour, and there's a little bit of water mixed together with it. Oh, this is going to become chametz even faster. Normally, you have 18 minutes from the time of contact between water and flour until it rises and becomes chametz. Here, it's going to be much, much, much more accelerated and faster. It's going to become chametz faster. But if there is not a drop of water in there, it will never become chametz. With this opinion, Rambam goes with this. Many Rishonim go with this. Now, Shulchan Aruch says, me perot, right, fruit juices, will never become chametz when you are baking them together. Comes the Ramah, right, Rabbi Moshe Isserlich, the one that brings Ashkenazi customs, and he says, in our areas, we do not use this matzah. Okay? That's where it comes from. Now let's go to the halacha. It's called matzah ashira. Matzah ashira means like a rich man's matzah. Right? This matzah we cannot be yotzeh the night of Pesach because we have to eat lechem oni, the bread of the poor. Right? This is not the bread of the poor. This is tasty. This is awesome. Like wine, good tasting matzah. The poor people do not eat this. So now matzah ashira. However, can you eat it on Pesach? For Sephardim, absolutely yes. Ashkenazim, definitely not. If you have Ashkenazi guests, do not. It's asur for him to eat it. Do not serve them matzah ashira on Pesach. Before Pesach, yes, they could eat it. It's not chametz, right? Ashkenazi poskim are machmir on this. The custom is to be machmir on this, and they do not eat matzah ashira, right? So if you're going to see here and there, the question was in Israel. The store owner is like it has these matzah ashira. They have to put up a sign in the stores saying this is not permissible for Ashkenazim to eat unless the person is old that they can't eat regular matzah, or for little children. Right? Otherwise, you have to announce. You have to let them know. Sephardi customers, they could eat it. They could have it no problem, even on Pesach. That's matzah ashira. Okay, now this is different. Yes, what was? Oh, this is different than what you bake with matzah meal. Way different. Matzah meal will never become chametz. What's matzah meal? That's matzah, which is ground up, right, into fine flour. With that, you want to bake, it'll never ever become chametz because it was already baked and it already became matzah, and that killed all the enzymes, so it's never going to become chametz. Even if you use baking powder, whatever it is that's going to make it right, it's not chametz. Yes.
What would be the bracha on matzah ashira on before Pesach and during?
So before Pesach, it certainly is mezonot, right? On Pesach also, it depends. You have to taste it. If it's sweet, right, which it usually is sweet, right, then it's mezonot, even on Pesach.
I think eggs in like apple juice.
Yeah. There's Papushado and Gattenio. These are two companies, Israeli companies. Every year, they have the Hechsher of Rav Ovadia, and every year there's a huge fight in Israel. People say, no, it's chametz, this, that. Rav Ovadia used to come out and say, it's fine, we checked it out, they use caramel Mizrahi wine, caramel Mizrahi do not add water to their wine, and therefore, it is perfectly permissible. Like, that's what he would say. Every year, someone else comes out, no. Right. It's not matzah shemura. Those we're gonna get to it. Like there's a difference in matzah shemura and matzah which is not shemura. Flour, like kosher the Pesach flour is kosher the Pesach flour. That means the wheat in the flour, actually the flour never came in contact with water. Shemura means that the wheat never came in contact with water, right? So that's the difference. Now, that's as far as this. So what else do we have? We have medications, right? So really, medications, a lot of medications have starch, right? A lot of the pills and tablets, they have starches. And that starch, if it's made out of wheat starch, then it contains chametz, but this chametz is not an edible thing. It is turned into something which is not edible. And when a person takes a pill, usually what does a person do? They just swallow it. It's not food that you chew. So there's a lot of leniencies for Sephardim. But if a person, Rav Ovadia writes, if a person could be machmir, you ask for things that are on the list that are definitely, they don't even contain wheat starch. Definitely a person should do it, right? We're not talking about a person who is a cholem mesukan, who is sick and is chas v'shalom in danger if they stop their medications. We're not even talking about that. Now, first, let's start from the person who is in chas v'shalom in danger. A person who has diabetes or a heart condition. If they don't take the medication, this is the life and death situation. In those cases, if they could get their hands on things that are safe as far as Pesach is concerned, that's what they should get. And if they can't, certainly they have to take their medication. All they do is just swallow it, and and use it, right? But even if a person who is not in a dangerous situation, he's not sakana, he's not in a dangerous situation, even them, right? It would be mutar unless it has a flavor. If it has a flavor, then we're in trouble because that it already became a food item. It already became something that has a taste, and something that has a taste on Pesach certainly would be asur b'hana'ah. You cannot even have any benefit from it. There we have to check and see what what would be recommended. Vitamins and other things, a lot of them. I don't know if it's a must for a person to take 8 days. We won't take vitamins. I don't think anything is going to happen to any of us. Be'ezrat Hashem, I hope. I don't want to take the responsibility for it. But vitamins, I don't know. Baruch Hashem, we added the segment in the guide. Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to have it out. And as always, Be'ezrat Hashem, by next week already, Rabbi Bess's list of medications will be out for the public, and you could see that either in Rabbi Eidlis's website, Kosher Quest, or the Kosher Kashrut Currents of the Star K. We're going to see that. Any questions so far?
How about prenatals?
Prenatals are a necessity. So they don't have a taste. They don't have a taste. Generally, they do. If they do, doctor says they do. So
some of them they do.
Right.
So I don't know.
How about the Tylenol for the children usually have the taste?
Right. Tylenol is a problem. Overall, for a year long is a problem. There is a new alert that just came out last week. I don't know if you all got it. It's a new alert. Tylenol and Benadryl and some Advils, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the whole list. They are problematic even for the duration of the year.
Why?
Because of the flavorings. I don't remember. I read the email. Now I forget the details. Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to include that in the Pesach guide as well.
It's a problem
Huh?
as in kashrut, or is a problem as in
Kashrut.
Oh,
In the
it's a
kashrut.
kashrut.
Right, in the kashrut.
Even for children though?
Even for children.
Brand or generic?
I mean, look, you want to get practical for children. You want to give them treif. You could also give them treif. But we try not.
So what do we get?
So no, they have alternatives. They wrote which ones are good. They wrote what is good. Be'ezrat Hashem. We'll put it out by next week. If you need until then, ask me. I'll email it to you. The alert.
But the Tylenol and everything that contain, but if the children get, like, for example, fever, what they can do?
What is a good acetaminophen?
All
Motrin?
of them has.
No. Rabbi Beth has on his list. There are certain ones that are okay for Pesach.
Some of them even have a hechsher on it.
They do?
Try Medicaid does.
Yeah.
Nice. You could check already on the CRC website. Have you been on the CRC website? Check on the CRC website. They have the whole list. They have everything there. Okay. I think we could be okay stopping here because the next thing we're going to go into using being machshir the kelim and everything, and then Be'ezrat Hashem we'll try to cover as much as we can for next week, and then the following week. We're going to have 3 sessions, Be'ezrat Hashem. Any questions so far on this? Yes.
You mentioned like if you have Ashkenazim coming to you,
Right.
so you can use your stuff.
Correct.
But let's say you use, can you put kidneyot in their pots and then they could still use it? Or
Really?
is that putting,
No, halachically, it's not a problem at all. Again, we're not talking about chametz.
right?
We're not talking about non-kosher. It's a custom not to eat this, right? They might get scared, but if you explain to them, hopefully they'll understand. Yes, you could use their utensils. It's fine. It doesn't make it non-kosher. No problem.
But are people here aware of that? I always
That's-
get the
that's what I'm saying.
feeling
They
like
get-
they
they
won't
get-
come to our home, like not, I mean,
Well, because I usually borrow
like they
all
wouldn't
of
come
my
to our
mom's
houses, not that I've
dishes.
invited anyone else.
But
But like over Pesach, but like I have a feeling like if we invited them over, like they would say, no, I can't eat out of your pots. Like I know
Explain to
people
them.
who don't eat out of like Gibralt's pots. Like
That's what I'm
people who
saying.
give
In
Right.
seminary, they had everything separate. They had
So-
Gebrox pots and then
Yeah.
they had everything was separate.
Yeah.